Beside me is something epic. We're going to go for a full tour of NILU27 with the car's creator. Sasha, who I've known for many years, is going to guide us around what this is all about. We're talking a 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12 producing 1,070 horsepower. With Sasha's experience in the industry working with the likes of Koenigsegg and Bugatti, he's incorporated that knowledge into a new vehicle only just released, which we're taking a look at from directly here at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance concept launch. So join us then for a full tour around. Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel. Let's check it out. This is NILU27. We're here with Sasha, congratulations.
Thank you, Tim.
How awesome. Exciting is this to be here with the car?
I am without words, I'm speechless, I'm blown away, overwhelmed.
So I have to confess, I didn't know too much about what you're up to. And I'm coming into this literally learning, like somebody you're introducing the car to. Perfect. But we obviously met a couple of months ago for the teaser unveil of this. Tell us about it. Introduce the car, come on.
All right. Well,
Stage is yours.
So in a nutshell, I did like 20 years in the industry designing for some really great companies, Koenigsegg, Bugatti, Lamborghini. The dream was always to build my own car, and this is, you know, kind of the moment of my life here we're talking about. This is really everything coming together, stars aligning. My wife and I starting this company together as co-founders, emptying out our bank accounts to create this vision right here. And the idea is very simple. Basically what I believe is that with modern technology, the number of layers between the driver and the road has become huge. There's nannies, there are control systems, there are screens, there is ADAS, and we wanted to create a hypercar that throws all of that away. It goes back to the roots, is the ultimate analog experience, with one clear kind of difference to some of our competition, the factor. So this thing is supposed to really blow your mind even from the moment you see it. It's not an understatement at all. It's clean, it's simple, but at the same time, it's factor is very important.
I love that you're not afraid of that. You're not afraid of that. This is, I mean, this is the dream of you and the team, right? To build a car using all of your experience, your expertise, the design, V12 engine. I mean, hit us with some of the headline standout features, things.
We do have some pretty cool numbers, but before we go into them, I want to say one thing. I really want this car's numbers to be about the driver and not about the technology. So when we say, what is the 0 to 60 or 0 to 100, it isn't a number. It is a question for the driver. How well can you operate the clutch? How well can you operate the throttle? How well can you time your shifts? And then you'll get the best times in the world, because there's 1,070 naturally aspirated horsepower here. But to be able to put that power onto the road, it's going to be up to you, and not up to a button, and not up to a start sequence, and not up to a touch screen. It's going to be you and that manual transmission trying to get as much performance out of it as you can.
This is absolutely, for a purist, it's about the drive.
Very much so.
So, shall we start at the front, talk design, kind of walk through the car? Obviously, you have years of experience, as you mentioned, with being responsible for some pretty epic cars. I'm not going to lie.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's just surreal to think about all the different companies I worked for and all the different people I met and learned from. It's surreal, but this, just being able to do this vision on our own, it kind of trumps it all in a way, right? I'm really thankful to Christian, especially Christian von Koenigsegg. I learned a lot from him in terms of engineering and in terms of also entrepreneurship, right? Maybe creating a company. So there's clear influences here from my career, but this is a whole new level of engagement when you do this on your own. What are the influences? The exterior design is influenced by my eclectic taste in cars. I really like my 60s and 70s Italian limo cars very much. I love Pininfarina cars. The early Pininfarina cars were amazing. Absolutely love the wedge cars. But there's also Ken Block in here. There's a little bit of American badass here as well. So it's an eclectic mix of stuff I like, but processed through my kind of heart and soul into what I consider a pretty unique overall statement.
It's completely unique. Do you know what? It's really difficult, I imagine, to come to market with a totally new product and yet present with a design that is its own identity. It's not, I'm going to say, borrowed straight from somewhere else. I mean, to talk even styling from the front, right? The design you've created here, talk us through it a little bit.
The design that I created here kind of harkens back a little bit to my early work on the Chiron. This was one of the front proposals I did for the Chiron back in the day. It didn't go anywhere, but it was my favorite face proposal for the car, and so it's here right now. It's kind of where it always belonged. I'm a real purist when it comes to design. I love the idea that form follows function. So I don't like gimmicky things. I don't like placing things just for the sake of style or fashion. Everything needs to have a functional purpose. But because the function takes different shapes, like exterior is all about efficiency, all about aerodynamics, all about cooling, all about downforce. And then the lines are fluid and sculptural. But on the interior, it's all about ergonomics, it's all about the human body, it's about safety, it's about vision angles, and the beauty takes a completely different shape on the interior. And similarly, the engine bay is its own realm, and form-following function creates a completely different statement there too.
I mean, this is unique. The way you have presented this, there's a ton of aero going on with the bodywork, multi-layers, the wings, the massive diffuser down here, but how exposed it is back here.
It's crazy, right? I mean, first of all, the credit for the engine goes to Nelson Hartley and Hartley Engines in New Zealand. Amazing company and a good friend by now. The briefing was coming from our side. I really wanted a hot V12, the exhaust coming straight up and out of the car instead of snaking its way around all the different components, subframes, suspension arms. This is the straightest way to get it out. Intakes are on the bottom, so it's an 80-degree V. It spins to about 11,000 RPM. It's going to produce 1,070 horsepower, but because it's naturally aspirated, those numbers are gradual. There's not kind of an instant torque whiplash that's going to happen. You'll be able to modulate your throttle input very carefully. The car will step out on you, but it'll be very progressive. We don't rely too much on downforce, although we have all the right things in place. The idea is to make it lively, engaging, and all about the enjoyment of the drive.
So when we talk engaging, manual gearbox.
Correct.
Rear-wheel drive.
Correct.
Everything that a purist hypercar
absolutely
should be.
There's plenty of cars to take inspiration from, but in today's world, it's quite unique.
Was that, I mean, that was indisputable from the outset, right? To go with a 12-cylinder power plant, to keep a manual gearbox?
And in fact, another thing that was indisputable is that it should be a bespoke power plant, because I really believe that the heart of the car deserves to be kind of unique for each car. So finding ways to make it happen, connecting with companies like Nelson's company, was really the key to making it work.
So obviously when you approach a project like this, partners you have to work with,
right?
Because you're ground up, starting brakes, wheels, everything,
sure.
Right? You have to understand the corporate side. How do you create a car company?
So first of all, the 20 years of experience in the industry really helps, because I have a lot of friends in high places who are well-wishers for us, and when we told some of our partners that we're starting this project, they jumped right in and they said, you know what, you'll need this, you know what, you'll need that, and there was a lot of tailwind. I'm really thankful. But of course the complexity is immense. It's far more than creating yet another design show car for an established OEM. We really have to produce this. Our customers are waiting. We've done really well with our kind of early phase, customer discussions. We have a lot of interest, and we need to deliver this and make sure that they love the product. So the challenge, I wouldn't say we're just embarking on it, but we're kind of in the early phases still.
So what's in the name? What's in the name?
So NILU, my wife and my co-founder, Ina, and I, we have two daughters. One of them is Nika, the other one is Lucia. And combining Nika and Lucia together means NILU.
Perfect. 27?
27 is a slight nod of respect and homage to Gilles Villeneuve. It was the first Formula One car that I saw as a kid in the back of a magazine. Fell in love with it, and it has stuck with me ever since. And whenever I did work for myself, kind of private dreams, I always put a 27 somewhere in there as my mascot, and I'm really happy that it's here now.
I love that. Personal story, personal connection behind it. I think we should take a look inside as well, if that's okay. Gull-wing doors. It's about the drama. Doors. Excitement begins as soon as you're stepping in. Wow.
So just like on the exterior, pretty eclectic. Classic Ford GT limo winner. Exposed dashboard, completely the cross-car beam without any cladding, any paneling over it. Everything is naked. The steering wheel is quite small. It's 315 millimeters, and it's perfectly round. So when the car steps out on you, you can just let it go and catch it very effortlessly. The fact that it's so small also means that you get quite good road feedback from it, because obviously the shorter the lever, the better. Our shifter is very close to the steering wheel on the same height. A little bit Ken block style, a bit sequential style, but it's actually an H pattern. I still believe in not having to move your hand too far away from the steering wheel when you shift. The steering wheel is actually so small that the main gauges had to be placed outside of it, because within the steering wheel circumference there's not enough space for a proper rev counter.
Right.
That's why the bigger gauges are on the outside.
That makes sense.
And we really did try to remove all the excessive nonsense that today's cars are so burdened by, keeping everything exposed and pure.
You've made it an incredibly futuristic design, but yet kept it to basics, to the important stuff, right? I just love, you know, looking at the intricacies of your 7-speed with the reverse lockout and the
lockout is
the
cool.
physical key. How cool is that?
Physical key, and there's a start sequence on the roof there where you do the electric switch, the fuel pump, and then you ignite, you fire up the engine. So it's quite a lot of drama and quite a lot of theater, but in a very functional and very kind of tactile way.
But that's something, it's almost funny, isn't it, that we talk about these almost historic ways that you interacted with a car, but that we miss in the modern era. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're surrounded here with some cars from the future that demonstrate amazing technology and the direction so many things have headed. But as petrol heads, when we kind of live and breathe this stuff,
well, that's exactly how I felt too.
It's these throwbacks to the past.
So what's also cool is that we're using a lot of modern design and manufacturing technology, right? So we're basically cooking an old recipe, but with completely new tools.
Got it.
Right?
Makes sense. Makes complete sense. So seats are fixed in place in a carbon tub?
Seats are fixed in place in the carbon tub. I worked a lot on the ergonomics of those. They are actually quite comfortable. Hop on inside if you want at some point. The dashboard, well, the steering wheel and the instruments move towards you. Paddlery also moves towards you. The idea is, of course, that we're trying to make the most tight cabin cross-section wise for aero purposes, but at the same time make it roomy and airy enough that you really do see what's around you. The A-pillars are pulled back quite far. The windshield is very panoramic, so you get a perfect view of your apexes as you corner. It's really just laid out for driving.
Yeah, and I've got to say, even small details, I imagine, but even doing this kind of fade through the seats is unique. It's making it stand out.
And even that has a bit of a functional reason for me. So I wanted some warmth in the interior, so it gives you a little bit of coziness, but I hate the idea of having the upper layer colored because that's distracting from the road. So doing this fade allowed us to really kind of be all business up top and then a bit of glow on the bottom.
That's cool, actually. I like that. But even floating headrest, the carbon fiber, I suppose full carbon body, carbon everywhere.
That's all standard stuff. I mean, it's carbon tub, but it's our own in-house development. Tubular subframes, both a nod back to the historics, but also a great way to expose the engine and make sure that it's as airy as possible. Super long double wishbone rear suspension, massively long wishbones, handling characteristics, roll center. It's functional everywhere, but hopefully also beautiful. That was the intent.
I also love how you've got a lovely blend of very smooth aerodynamic surfaces, yet look at the lower sections, you know, down here, no step, fighter jet style, side skirts. The
no step was a last minute addition because one of our prospective customers almost stepped on it, so we added it just last minute to make sure. The NACA duct I love, that's a cool feature. And nod back to LP400, and that's actually a very functional location for a NACA duct for us because our hot V takes the intake from the bottom.
Okay.
So that's a direct path for the engine intake there.
I love that kind of thing, just learning about this directly from you, because each element like that, each design element of that nature, you must have to spend so long refining, figuring out. So have you got...
The first idea came in 2006, and it really took me 18 years to make this thing come here onto the lawn, so it's...
So what we're seeing here is effectively your career now presented to the world at Monterey Car Week.
Yeah.
It must be exciting.
I'm speechless, like I said.
It's mega to see it, to be honest, and the reception from the world, from the media, from everyone. Because I think, you know, cars are in some ways losing touch with what we love, right? It's a lot of cars, the emotional side has been drained. Don't get me wrong, performance of some of the things are absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But I think people like yourself and myself, it's about the feeling. It's about the emotive side. And it's so hard to explain that and to encapsulate that.
Well, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I actually have a pretty good analogy here. So, first of all, when it comes to performance, we're reaching numbers that are actually unsustainable for the human body. Like 5.5 G turn-in on cornering is not something that you can do without Fernando Alonso's neck. So I don't know too many hypercar customers with that kind of properly worked out neck muscles trained, so 5.5 G maybe not the most sensible thing for a turn-in speed or G-forces. Then top speed, I've driven 230 miles an hour on public roads. I'd never want to go another 100 above that. Like, it just doesn't make sense. 230 on a public road is as much bravery as I have in me. I don't expect anybody to go 330 or above that. The next point is acceleration times, right? And I think that if you can get a 2.5 second acceleration but actually have to work for it, it's far more rewarding than pressing a button and having this thing just sort of shoot like an under 2 second 0 to 60 every single time.
Yeah.
And one analogy I wanted to make is with food. When food was scarce, calories counted. But now we're all pretty well fed, so you actually don't want to eat too much calories. You want to have a better experience. That's why I think the outright numbers are falling to the side, and it's the experience component that we're starting to appreciate. Car guys like you and I anyway, but I also believe most of our customers as well.
For sure. Customers coming in from around the world, getting people reaching out just with excitement.
Absolutely, we got a lot of tailwind, a lot of support from them.
I love that Mate is just chilling at the back.
Yeah, that's very cool. It's an honorary guest.
Taking a look, enjoying the car. All I can say is congratulations. It's mega to yourself and to the whole team, because
thank you, Tim.
It's really cool.
We love having you here with us. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well done. Nelson has kindly joined us then to talk through the engine.
There's an engine in there, V12.
There's a very nice engine in there.
Thank you.
So Sasha's just given us a little bit of an intro, but obviously this is, I guess this is your baby part of the part of the project.
Yes, we've been trying to get into this industry for a long time. A few failed attempts, not necessarily because of our own doing, but just trying to find a partner that we could.
Competitive, it's difficult.
It is, but it's also like we're in the bottom of the world, you know, one of the King's great colonies, but it's hard to get exposure from New Zealand. So when Sasha reached out, had seen some of the stuff we've done, very, very boutique, very niche. We make as much as we can in-house. We're extremely lean. And he told me what he wanted to do, and I said, look, we want to build our own engine. We need a project that can justify it. I don't want to offer you an OEM-based engine for your car. It's too good. And it sort of started from there.
So
it just got working.
What was the introduction? Can we make a 1,000 plus horsepower naturally aspirated V12, please?
He actually started with a request for less power and just kept bumping it up.
Oh, really?
But I know what we've done with other motors before, what we've achieved. We can pretty much make anything in New Zealand. We're a good, like, there's so many talented people in New Zealand.
For sure.
We have a good culture of automotive, like lots of motorsport.
So talk us a little bit more through what we're looking at. I know the idea is obviously to pull everything out straight away.
Yeah, so 6.5 litre V12. I take a lot of my inspiration for engineering from like mid-90s Formula One. Just a real big fan of that era of Formula One. NA screaming, really raw, quite aggressive, not so refined. We've got a really big bore, a short stroke. I would love to do like a small capacity V12 as well, but we need to be reliable, so you have to go a bit bigger in capacity to be able to keep it usable. Sasha's request was a hot V. It probably took me about 12 hours to come around to that. I quickly did some sketches, laid some pistons and rods out in an engine and went, see why not? And that's sort of where we ended up. So definitely some challenges. It's a big motor. We had to try and get it as compact as possible while still keeping a really big cylinder so that we can have a short stroke, really wide power band. Like a 1,000 horsepower out of an NA engine is probably the equivalent of like having 1,400 horsepower with turbos. You know, our power curve is so linear.
I mean, it's the most powerful NA engine in a road car.
Yeah, I don't know. There's people with modified engines that make phenomenal power as well. But as far as going into production, like this is a low production run, so we can afford to be a bit more aggressive with it. People are going to want to drive it hard, and you know, because we weren't using an OEM block or heads, we're able to put the valve angle where we want. We're able to use the cam profile we want. We can make the valve longer. We can get the intake ports coming straight down. We can get a flat combustion chamber, which gives us more opportunities to get more aggressive with the timing. All these things that we do in motorsport to try and win races, that transfers over to something like this because there's no limitations. Other than space, it was basically just a volume limitation, which is how we came to 6.5 litre.
Okay.
That was really he didn't ask for a capacity, I just said how much space have we got and then had to make it fit.
And work it out from there.
Actually, the hardest part was making the clutch arrangement fit.
Okay.
Just because everything's getting long when you're getting up to that capacity, and we've got such a big bore and short stroke that the design, we already had like a basis for what we wanted to do with our own engine. So I sort of put all that together in a platform and really started with the rear main seal, the flywheel, the clutch, the starter motor, and then worked our way forward because that was going to define how much space we had for water jackets, oil pumps, alternators. There's a lot of stuff to do, but actually it might sound arrogant. I think it was easier to build an engine from scratch than what it was, provided you have the facilities to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easier to start from scratch than it is to try and retrofit or reverse engineer something else.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because you can just do it how you want. However, there's like a bell curve, you know, like if you're X amount of skill set and manufacturing equipment, yes, start with OEM, buy some parts off the shelf. We never do that. Maybe it's a little bit egotistic, but I think that it's an art form for me as well, so
but
it's
also,
got to be reflected.
When it comes to buying something like this, it's I think it's fair to say it's a purchase of the heart, not a purchase of the head, right? So
Yes.
it's knowing that it's built for purpose. It's not just a borrowed part.
The best thing was, so I got introduced to Sasha by someone else, and when he was talking to me and showing what the car was, he was very form follows function, and I've always felt the same, like the thing has to work right, but what makes something beautiful is actually what it represents, not necessarily just how it looks. They coincide. Like for example, everyone loves the look of carbon fibre, but a dark black woven pattern, it's give or take, but it's because of what it represents. It's strong, it represents performance, so now it looks good.
Like you see that weave, you think this is high quality,
which
strong,
is why
light.
I can't stand fake carbon fibre. There's absolutely nothing beautiful about it because it's not carbon fibre. Carbon, like the titanium colour, it's one of my favourite colours, but not because I like the hue. It's the, you know, I'm not looking up the Pantone number, it's because of what it represents.
What the material is.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And so that's sort of the motivation we get with an engine. I'm getting a little philosophical.
No, I love it. I love hearing it because obviously you live and breathe this stuff, right?
It starts with maths, right? And then we just work our way forward from there.
So what's it going to sound like?
It sounds wild. So we have another V12 platform that we work with a lot, that we sell more to small coach builders. We've done a couple for like Resto Modi type Jags. We've got one in a drift car that's making 1200 horsepower.
Okay.
It's pretty wild. So I know what they sound like. And we just took that same sort of, and I know what our V8s sound like because we have quite a high performance range of V8s that we put into motorsport. And we just carried that forward and times everything by 2.
Okay.
I mean, look at the size of the exhaust.
Yeah, I love the way it's finished back here.
It's not quite.
Is this your design or is this Sasha?
So I did everything, my team and I did everything up to the tip. I just put a round tube as a placeholder, and he pondered on it for a while and then came up with the tip. But yeah, the rest of the engineering's all us in New Zealand.
It looks beautiful.
Well, that was the goal. So like, we had to put a lot of effort in because it's 6.5 litre, so it is a big motor. But things like the cam covers are also the bearing caps for the camshafts, and that meant we could take another 20 mil out of the height of the motor because I love Formula One engines from the like early to mid 90s.
Yeah.
The way they're so low in the car, and I just wanted to look down there, so it was all about getting that height down, keeping it petite. It's a cool project. Like I'm super excited. We're pumped.
Well, congratulations on
thank you so much.
Showing it to the world, getting it out there, and it's going to be an exciting future ahead.
Well, as time goes on, we'll get more technical with the details. But it's built aggressively. Like it's a big bore, it's a short stroke. There's not a lot of mass in there. We have to keep some mass in it because it's got to be drivable.
Well, I love it.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. Congratulations. Thank you for showing us.
Absolute pleasure.
The day is quickly wrapping up here, but what an opportunity to be joined by Sasha and Nelson to understand what this car is all about, to explore it here, a bit of an off-the-cuff look. Great to have that opportunity though. Big thanks to them for taking the time to show us around what the story of this car really is, and I'm looking forward to the future. I wish them all the best as well. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you to the team here for the opportunity. That's it for this time though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.